It's a tough choice, but in this video I'm gonna try and rank our best and favorite video gear of the year. And this includes the Nanlite Forza 500B, which is a bicolor light. As a gimbal we have the Zhiyun Weebill 3S. Field monitor is the Portkeys BM7 2DS. And then we also have, as a wireless microphone kit, the Hollyland Lark Max. Instead of announcing the winner in the very end, I decided, okay, let's do the winner first. And it certainly wasn't an easy choice, but I decided to go with a light rather than a camera or gimbal because we do a lot of corporate work and light is very important. So the winner is the Nanlite Forza 500B. Just so you have some background about what we usually shoot on corporate videos, so we film a lot of offices, big, small, with daylight, of course also with kind of mixed lighting, which means there is some overhead lighting. Sometimes you can turn it off, which is good because then we can bring in our big lights and pretty much light up the whole office or the whole room. But of course often there's tungsten light, some sort of ugly lighting, which then is a nightmare, and sometimes you cannot turn it off. So what we then try to do is of course match the color temperature. And this is exactly where the Forza 500B comes in, because the advantage is that you can certainly adjust the color temperature, which of course most lights can do, but the main advantage is that you can of course also adjust the tint. So it goes from -80 to +80, so you can adjust both the green and the magenta value. And this is a big deal, not just to adjust to some sort of weird mixed lighting where the color temperature is simply off from the office lights, but especially also if you mix it with other lights. Even if they're also premium brands, usually you still have some sort of offset between magenta values and of course also Kelvin values. So that's a really big deal and certainly saves us a lot of time in post, because otherwise you have to mask certain areas of the shot to make sure, okay, this part of the image doesn't match. Maybe the face has some sort of weird tint and then the background has a different color temperature. So that is certainly one of the biggest reasons why we chose this light. Besides great color reproduction, it's also important for us that the light is built well, and this is pretty much the case with this light because it's mostly made from aluminium, which means the whole housing is robust, because we often move around quickly and sometimes the light bumps into a wall, into a light stand, which of course isn't ideal, but it can happen. And let's face it, we test a lot of budget-friendly lights, and while they perform better and better at good color temperatures, the truth is also they're usually not very well built, which means I'm not sure how long they will last during a real shoot, and this is another reason why we use this light. Now I'm going to talk about my other favorites of 2023, and first up is the Zhiyun Weebill 3S, which is a rather compact gimbal, not too small, not too big, and that's also the reason why I personally chose it over the Crane 4, which is the rather big one. Also works very well. But usually we use a Fujifilm X-H2, which is a rather compact mirrorless camera. We usually put on prime lenses or small cine lenses, and that's a pretty good setup overall for trade shows, but also small corporate shoots. And it also has two grips, so that's pretty useful, especially if you're walking around a lot, so it's not too exhausting for the back. And yeah, overall a pretty good piece of gear, rather evolution than revolution, but in a day-to-day use, pretty good. Choosing a microphone was pretty tough because on corporate videos we use all types of microphones. That includes lavaliers like this, wireless microphones of course, external recorders, directional microphones. So I thought let's rather focus on what's interesting for most people technology-wise, and I decided to go with a Hollyland Lark Max, which is a wireless microphone kit. You can use it pretty much like a lavalier mic, like what I'm doing right now, but of course also simply the transmitter. You can use it with a built-in mic. It has internal recording, pretty much all the features you need. And yes, there are a million similar products, but this one is certainly good, especially if you compare it to the previous one, which was the Lark 150. Worth mentioning is also the brand new Comica VM30, which is a wireless directional microphone. We already have used it. It performs very well and has great audio quality. It's time to talk about the last product, which is a field monitor. And yes, field monitors are supposed to be bright, but there are some that can actually do more than just display a live feed, and that is the Portkeys BM7 2DS, which can actually control a lot of camera models, which means you can trigger recording, for example, change the white balance, ISO, shutter, etc. And of course, it is also bright with 2200 nit. It's impossible to cover all the details about the products in this video, but we made dedicated reviews for each product, including the winner, the Nanlite Forze 500B2. So if you're interested in any of those products, make sure to check them out. Please keep in mind that these are my personal favorites, and I'm sure you would pick very different products, but of course this is based on my actual shooting experience, so that of course differs. And like I always say, it's all about personal preference, and if you have the chance to try the gear somewhere at a store, make sure to do so. Anyway, let us know what's your favorite piece of gear, and I'll see you next time.